Self-awareness, the neo-alchemists' work. Why does self-awareness matter? Because if you want pleasure, health, better decisions, influence, and leadership that lasts, the most crucial muscle to build is self-awareness. I'm Dr. Elena Carruba. I mentor leaders how to harness mind, heart, and machine. Today we will travel a simple map: what self-awareness really is, why most people don't have it, how to build it, and, most importantly, how it makes you a better worker, a wiser leader, and a more resilient human. This is not therapy theatre. This is survival engineering for people who want to shape the world rather than be shaped by it. Stay with me. If you do one exercise here tonight, I promise you will sleep differently. If you do 5 of them over a month, you will change your relationships, your leadership, and the trajectory of your work. So what is self-awareness? Psychologists Shelley Duvall and Robert Wicklund gave us a useful definition. Self-awareness is the capacity to focus on yourself and to judge whether your behaviors, thoughts, or feelings align with your internal standards. It's the ability to hold your own mind up to the light. In practice, people who are self-aware can name the emotion they are feeling, notice the bodily cue that precedes a reaction, see how their history nudges their present, and crucially, compare their private sense of self with how others actually experience them. That last part matters for leaders. You can be brilliant in analysis and blind in social calibration. Self-awareness is the difference between making a smart choice and making a smart choice that people will follow. Literature has always been the laboratory of self-awareness, a place where inner life is excavated, tested, and remade. Think Hamlet's razor, this above all, to thine own self be true. That command is not quaint moralizing. It is the elemental injunction of reflective leadership. In Dostoevsky's Moral Crucibles, Raskolnikov's conscience, the mind becomes a trial chamber where identity is interrogated. In Austen's novels, Elizabeth Bennet, social self-knowledge determines how power and intimacy are negotiated. These are not merely stories. They are practice fields for the interior skills leaders now need. The novel form, the Bildungsroman, the stream of consciousness experiment, trains us to notice nuance. Virginia Woolf's rhythm, I am rooted, but I flow, names the paradox of stability and change every leader faces. Tolstoy and George Eliot show how moral imagination and empathy turn private reflection into public responsibility. Emerson reminds us bluntly, self-trust is the first secret of success, a phrase that bridges inner calibration and outward efficacy. Translate this into practice. Literary introspection hones EEQ, empathic self-knowledge, SSQ, socially sustainable judgment, and AIQ, the disciplined attention to patterns that machines amplify. Read a scene slowly, annotate your bodily reactions, ask what, not why. That tiny ritual, reading like a diagnostician of the soul, converts passive taste into tactical skill. In a world scaled by algorithms, the human who knows herself will be the one who leads with clarity, care, and courage. Neuroscience locates self-awareness at the intersection of body signals, predictive models, and reflective thought. At the physiological core is interoception, the brain's mapping of the body's internal states. The anterior insula and connected pathways monitors heartbeat, breath, gut cues, and turns raw sensation into a felt sense of me. The default mode network, medial prefrontal cortex, posterior cingulate, organizes self-referential narratives, the running commentary that answers, who am I? While frontopolar and dorsolateral prefrontal regions enable metacognition, thinking about thinking, planning, and corrective change. Antonio Damasio put it simply, we are not thinking machines that feel, rather, we are feeling machines that think. That insight is now testable. Neuroimaging shows self-related tasks light up the DMN, lesions to insular or prefrontal regions degrade self-knowledge, think anosognosia, or the social changes after frontal damage. Daniel Kahneman's behavioral work complements this. Our introspections are fallible, biased and subject to present moment salience. Nothing in life is as important as you think it is while you are thinking about it. Neuroscience explains why. Momentary bodily states and predictive priors bias judgment. Put simply, self-awareness equals accurate interoception plus narrative integration plus metacognitive control. Practically, training any of these nodes, breathwork to improve interoception, reflective journaling to restructure narrative, metacognitive drills to test beliefs, changes brain patterns and therefore leadership capacity. In a world scaled by AI, the leader who refines these neural skills, who can feel, describe, and revise, will act with clarity, restraint, and ethical force. Public and private self-awareness, there are two kinds. Public self-awareness is your sense of how you appear to others. It makes you polite, presentable, cooperative, but taken too far, it produces brittle people who are constantly preoccupied with reputation. They perform, they never rest. Think of a politician who can script a speech, but cannot breathe alone. Private self-awareness is quieter. It's noticing the sensation behind the thought. You feel tension in the jaw before you snap. You notice your heart rate before you freeze. This is the work of the inner observer. It is curious, not judgmental. It asks, what is actually happening inside me right now? Both are useful. Public awareness helps you steward social roles, SSQ, social sustainability in action. Private awareness is the laboratory where change happens. The danger is when public awareness turns into performance and defeats private honesty. Then you craft an inauthentic persona and you lose trust with others and with yourself. What makes self-awareness so crucial? Why does this matter for the vanguard of alchemists we are building? Because self-awareness is the hinge between intention and effect. Research across behavioral science shows a simple pattern. People who can describe their feelings and see their impact are happier and more effective. They make fewer impulsive choices. They repair relationships faster. In leadership contexts, self-awareness supports inclusion because you can recognize when your power reduces someone else's voice and you can correct. This is SSQ and EEQ working in tandem. Sustainable social intelligence, SSQ, asks, how does my action affect the community? Emotional ethical intelligence, EEQ, asks, am I being kind, fair, and accountable in the moment? Together, they make systems that last. Advantages OF self-awareness. Tangible advantages. You see the map more than the moss. You step outside biases. You will recognize and walk away from narcissistic abuse from a partner you trusted and who fell in addiction. You will report a boss who bullies you. You will recognize patterns from within. You regulate emotions instead of being regulated by them. That reduces stress and improves judgment. You build stronger relationships because you can apologize intentionally, receive feedback, and hold complexity. Professionally, you are more adaptable. You move from reactive firefighting to deliberate design. This matters when you're facing exponential complexity. When AI multiplies scale, human clarity becomes the scarce resource. What causes the lack of self-awareness? It's not moral failing. It is often socialized survival. Many of us were taught to suppress feeling as children, to be good, quiet, tough. Others were rewarded for performance and punished for doubt. Leadership adds another layer. Studies show that as people gain power, their empathy circuits can atrophy. Power changes the brain's patterns. Today, most leaders are bullies, and the system helps narcissists to prevail. Because it is biased, it confuses narcissism with charisma. The result: confident, brittle leaders who mistake certainty for truth. So if you lack self-awareness, don't shame yourself. Notice the social mechanics that created it. Now choose to rewire them. How can I tell if I'm self-aware? There are practical tools. I recommend 2 validated instruments: a short self-report, the basic 12-question self-awareness inventory, and the VIA Strengths Inventory, to map your top capacities. More useful than a test score is the behavior checklist. Do you notice your mood shifts in real time? Can you name your most recurrent defensive moves? Do you seek feedback and receive it without immediate argument? If you fail these tests, you're not broken, you're latent. See PDF in comment. Contact me with all your questions. Subscribe, like, and share. How to develop greater self-awareness. This is the practical part. I give you a sequence, the practice scaffolding I used with clients and with myself. Step 1. Anchor your morning. 10 minutes of light exposure and a 1-minute priority statement. Say aloud, my one highest impact action today is. This anchors choice before the day scatters it. Step 2. 3 sensory checks per day. Set a timer. At each check, note breath, posture, thought. Label them: tight chest, anxiety. This trains private awareness. Step 3. The 1-minute feedback loop. After any significant interaction, ask, what did I notice in my body? What did I say? What effect did it have? Write 1 sentence. Small habit, massive return. Step 4. Regular audit with witnesses. Monthly, invite 2 trusted colleagues or friends to give specific feedback on one behavior. This is SSQ in practice. You design social systems for truth. Each practice is small. Each compounds. Ask the what questions. One of the biggest mistakes is asking why, which often pulls you into rumination. Ask instead the what questions. What happened in the room? What body cue preceded my reaction? What can I change next time? The what is empirical, it opens possibilities. The why breeds blame. Let me give you Joan's story. Joan was a junior executive who never spoke in meetings. She told herself, I'm too junior. We reframed. What in the room made you hold back? She noticed her throat tighten and her breathing shorten. She practiced 2 interventions, a pre-meeting bullet list and a 60-second voice warm-up. Within 3 weeks, she spoke twice in an important meeting and was heard. Self-awareness created leverage. Not therapy, technique. Recognizing people around you. Here's how self-awareness helps you read others. When you can name your triggers, you stop projecting. If you feel dismissed, you can ask, do I feel dismissed because of past wounds or because of what was actually said? That pause prevents escalation. Turn your wounds into wisdom. Oprah. When you translate your history into insight, you gain freedom to choose behavior rather than reenact the past. This is the Alchemist's work. The power matrix applied. Now let's place this within the power matrix. SSQ, Sustainable Social Intelligence, use your self-awareness to design systems that rotate load, share decision authority, and normalize repair. Example, rotate Monday night, on call, duty across the team, not just the same high performer. That preserves social capital, EEQ, emotional ethical intelligence. Be fluent in expressing your interior life in responsible ways. Apologize early. Say what you learned. Invite restitution. This grows trust. AIQ. IQ empowered by AI. Use AI for scaffolding, not replacing. Use an AI assistant to summarize your email and flag emotionally charged threads. Use it to draft a neutral request or to role-play a hard conversation. AI amplifies your reflective capacity if you keep the moral steering wheel. Together, they form the vanguard alchemists, people who listen to self, steward the social, and wield machines ethically. Examples from ART, history, and the stage art and history teach nuance. Shakespeare gave us rulers who fall because of inner blindness. Macbeth's out brief candle is also a mirror. Lack of self-awareness produces tragic acceleration. From the stage to the boardroom, the actor's secret, breath control, presence, listening, is the same as a wise executive's. Steve Jobs once said, "Stay hungry. Stay foolish." I take it differently. Stay hungry enough to learn, foolish enough to question your certainties. Nelson Mandela taught us patience and the habit of returning to principle. Oprah turned wounds into wisdom. These are not moral cliches, they are case studies in self-work. Testimonials. I want to share 3 short, anonymized testimonials from people who used this framework in the last year. Testimonial, CEO, tech startup, Elena's protocol stopped our board from repeating the same fight. We restructured decision rights. Burnout dropped 30% in 3 months. Testimonial, small business owner in Sicily, the AI draft plus 1-minute feedback loop saved my marriage and my business. I finally speak with precision, not panic. These are not miracles. They are disciplined practice. MY Life with M, now a personal note. I will tell you a short story about M and me because I want this to be human, messy, courageous, and specific. When M and I started, we were both ambitious in different currencies. I brought research, structure, and an appetite for rigor. M brought risk, speed, and an intolerant kindness for failure. Early on, we crashed. Too many decisions, not enough repair. We lost trust. I remember lying awake after a board meeting, my body humming with adrenaline, my mind rehearsing defensive lines. The next morning, I did the sensory check, throat tight, shoulders up, chest hot. I used the what question, what exactly changed in the meeting? I noticed my voice pitched higher when I felt not heard. I shared this vulnerability with M. We instituted a small ritual at the end of each day, 1 minute of what happened, 1 sentence of effect, and 1 sentence of need. That minute transformed months. It stopped escalation, created clarity, and, crucially, allowed us to split tasks according to strength SSQ. We became a micro-council where emotional labor was shared. That small practice is why the Alchemists Academy will be real, rituals that scale. Practical toolkit. 5 actions to take tonight. If you want practical, do these 5 things tonight. Physiological sigh. 2 small inhales, long exhale, twice. Do it now. 1 minute priority statement. Write your single highest impact action for tomorrow. Say it aloud. 3 sensory checks, morning, midday, evening. Note breath, the body, a thought. Label them. 1 minute feedback after any hard conversation. What did you notice? What changed? What will you do next? Use AI as a reflecting scarab. Ask your assistant. Summarize my last 24 hours of email. Flag any emotional language and suggested human responses. If you do these tonight, you will sleep with a different nervous system. Troubleshooting and AMP, ethics, a few cautions. Don't weaponize discomfort. Creating stress as a test without care is cruelty. Don't outsource your moral work to an AI. AI can inform, but not absolve you. Be careful with breath work if you have medical issues. If in doubt, see a clinician. Ethics are not abstract here. They are practice. When you move through discomfort, you must build repair systems around you, rituals, witnesses, and social contracts that prevent harm. How self-awareness builds careers, teams, nations at scale. These practices do policy. Teams that rotate emotional labor have less attrition. Companies that measure and protect recovery have stronger revenue across cycles. Nations that embed long-term thinking, the Iroquois 7th generation ethic. Avoid the boom-bust damage we're witnessing in short-term markets. This is not sentimental. It is applied systems design. If you want the toolkit I use with clients, download the 7-day Edge kit from the link below. Breathing audio, templates, and the empathic AI prompts to make the work reproducible. If you want to go deeper, join the Alchemists Academy waitlist. We pilot the first cohort soon. But don't do anything because I told you. Do it because you are curious about what you will become when you stop avoiding yourself. A culture of self-aware alchemists, we are in an era where machines amplify scale and attention is the scarce good. The future belongs to those who can anchor, reflect, and steward. The new alchemists are not technologists or spiritualists alone. They are people who can read their body, listen to their communities, and design technologies that extend rather than replace moral judgment. You are such stuff as dreams are made on, Shakespeare wrote. I will finish with this twist. Dreams are fragile. They need stewardship of self, of group, and of the systems we build. Be the steward. Build the rituals. Teach it to your team. Pay attention. Turn pressure into power. That is how we become rich in influence, health, and meaning, honestly, ethically, and with craft. If this moved you, do one small thing. Try the physiological sigh now, then comment one word about how you feel. Share this with one person who needs permission to be honest. Subscribe if you want more tactical work like this. I read every comment, and I act on the best ones. I'm Dr. Elena Carruba. Build the rhythm. Lead with depth. See you in the next conversation.